Welcome to a spontaneous Sober Heathen live entitled You Mad Bro? uh, man, what a day. I had a great podcast earlier today with Mir. Make sure to check that out anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. It was a lot of fun. Really good dude. Serious about recovery, does a lot of writing, puts a lot of things out there. It was a really good podcast. Actually, I've done 3 podcasts in the last week or so, and they've all been fantastic. This one might be a little bit of a short one, but if you're out there listening, you want to comment, I may get a little rough around the edges. I don't really do that a whole lot. I try to not ruffle feathers, or maybe I do, but this time it's intentional. The reason for the You Mad Bro title is it's quite entertaining to me to see how many people out there give so many shits about what you're doing in your recovery, what you're doing to take care of yourself and better your life, because you're not doing it the way that they do it, or they believe that you have ulterior motives and they don't even know you. And that's the funny part, because what they don't understand is that's ego. Ego is telling you that you know more than what you do know without any evidence to back it up. But, I think that's a fair way of looking at it. Let me give you an example. I'm going to read you a comment that was left on my post. First, I'm going to read you the comment, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read you what I posted. And it's hard to read because it's poorly written, but I'm going to read it to you anyway, and I won't say who did it. But it's somebody that doesn't even follow me, so they're just flopping around social media and decided that, hey, I'm going to be a douchebag. So the comment was left that said, the first, without a T, the first year is usually that otherwise, ? After a year, it's just life. Far too many carry on as of recovery has this lifelong effect of emotional and physical dilemma, and recovery is a white knuckle thing forever. That type, ? And I say question mark because I'm trying to make sure you know it's a question, because it's really hard to read. And the last sentence is discourage people from even trying. So what he's saying is, you're making something out of nothing. It's just life. Suck it up, buttercup. And the people that don't do that, which he's commenting on my post, which I'll read here in a second, saying, that or people that talk about struggles are discouraging people from even trying. And that is fucking stupid. I need people to be real. I need people to be real early on. I needed people to be real often. And I needed to know that there wasn't a fairy tale happening at the end of this thing. Because every time I believed there was a fairy tale, which it was in the beginning, because I saw all these people so happy. And they may be truly happy when they're in these meetings and they're sharing and they're doing all these things. But to never see them upset, or to hear them talk about, how they're dealing with rough times, made them something that they weren't. They weren't human. And so when things started to struggle for me, then it was like, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, what the fuck's wrong with me? So I'm going to read you that comment one more time, and I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to read you what my post and what this person put it on. And I'll try to read it the best I can. The first year is usually that otherwise. After a year, it's just life. Far too many carry on as recovery has this lifelong effect of emotional and physical dilemma, and recovery is a white knuckle thing forever. That type, discourage people from even trying. So my post was just something that I do. I have 2 journals. I just got a third one given to me. And so I document a lot of things. And I started out my podcast as kind of like a video diary of getting things out there. And it's been very therapeutic for me. And it turns out that it's been helpful to at least a couple people, because, I got a little bit of a following. So my original post said, I can't sleep more than 3 or 4 hours at a time. And it's been like this for a week. Okay. Not sure what that means. Either way, I'm up and at 'em. Have a great day, folks. In what universe does this person, who I think I recognize maybe the picture, but in what universe do you get that I'm saying that I'm within a year of sobriety, or under a year of sobriety, and that I'm acting like things are a dilemma, and that I'm white knuckling things, and that I was even talking about my recovery. I mean, there are so many assumptions going on in this comment alone that is just, it's mind blowing. And, I always go to ego when I talk to these guys because I know where they're coming from. They're coming from the gatekeeper AA type, and they want to say these things because they're, they're the old timers, right? They know what's going on. This is how they were taught, and this is how it's done. I said nothing. So unless this dude knows me and I don't know who he is, and he's under some name that I don't recognize, this guy saw my comment, knows that I'm talking about recovery. Maybe he just saw the sober and went with that. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. But he drew a lot out of just a simple, I can't sleep more than 3 or 4 hours at a time. It's been like this for a week. Not sure what that means. Either way, I'm up and at him. Have a great day, folks. Wow. You had to really stoop real low to turn that into something like I was discouraging people from even trying, from getting into recovery. That's almost impressive. Well, as Ryan, or as I know him as Pug, says, tell him to fuck off. I'm trying to do that as politely as I can in this brief live here. So let me give you another example. Had a fellow, and again, I don't have permission to say who it is, so I'll just read the post. What is one thing sobriety means to you today? For me, it's being able to roll out of bed and make chocolate chip pancakes for my kids and not be hungover. Right? This is all he posted. That's the original post. He's talking about getting out of bed, sober, making chocolate chip pancakes for his kids and not being hungover. What a nice post. This douchebag, No Nonsense Recovery, I won't read his tag, but that's the name on the account. This guy goes around to people and just tries to be a total dick, and he is a dick, and he can eat a dick. His comment to that about making chocolate chip pancakes for this dude's kids is, and you get to swan around social media living high on the hog as a recovery guru. So this guy has been on my page several times. Apparently he has this fetish of thinking that because you have it's not a fetish. Well, maybe the fetish is getting on here and being a giant dick. But he has this belief, I think, that if you make a podcast, you're automatically making money, which I can tell you that I am definitely not in the positive on the money that I put into my podcast, right? So he's completely delusional and misunderstanding and has a lack of understanding of what podcast means, right? So my buddy, he responds to him, tells him to take a look at himself. The next comment, the guy says, the good news is a few bucks in your back pocket to promote your magnificent recovery. Why not help in 12-step group, or does that not fit into your lining your pockets, inflating your ego? So my buddy, he does go to AA. He does have a group. And so he tells them about that. And he explains more than what he probably needed to this guy, but he's trying to let this guy in. He's trying to be courteous, I think. Finally, the guy says, I think in the AA group that you attend may be encouraging you to inflate your ego, the opposite of AA principles. So this douche waffle is actually going above and beyond just being a dick, pretending to know what the AA meetings, what they are doing in the AA meetings and what they are telling him to do, right? So this has been something. What's up, Sober Dad? You're more than welcome to join me if you want to. So, look, I have said it time and time again. I've spoke out against AA a little bit, but it's not AA the program. It's some of the people, and it's a small proportion of people that get on here and try to flex their ego and then tell you that your ego is out of control because you're not doing it the way that they do it. My ego has been out of control according to these people because I no longer count my days. I don't call myself an alcoholic. That's my ego out of control. I talk recovery and I try to be as open and honest about it. And I talk about the Sinclair method. I talk about every possible pathway that I can learn about. And if I can get somebody on the podcast that's doing it to talk about it, I do that. That's my ego out of control. I don't think these guys understand what ego means. These are the guys that are in the mindset of get to a meeting, sit down, shut up, make the coffee. And don't talk for a month. Don't talk for a week. Just listen. If that works for you, for the love of God, continue to do what you got to do. But these are the things, and I'm seeing it more and more now. The more people I have in the podcast, more people that follow me on X. There's more and more people that are. Oh, it sounds like the teenagers having some fun next door. These are the things that push people away. People don't want to be talked to like that when you do not know them. And to treat everybody as if they're the exact same and they need the same thing that you need is just unrealistic. So even if you used one particular pathway and you just said, okay, I used AA, I used NA, I used Dharma, you can do that and you can use whatever you need to use, but everybody's life is different. Nobody goes home to the same lifestyle. Nobody goes to the same job the next day. Nobody works with the same coworkers the next day. Nobody has the same children. Nobody has the same bank account. Nobody lives in the same area. These things are all factors that come into play. And to think that it's just right down the middle for everybody is just ridiculous to me. And to treat people like crap just because they're not doing it the way that you do it is not helpful. It's not. I had to vent. You know what I mean? I had to get on here for a few seconds, and I had to, because I'm looking at my buddy who this guy is going after. And this dude, I've never met him in real life. I call him a buddy, but I look at this person and he's a good dad. He's doing great things and he's super positive, and that's what matters, right? There are a time and place to set boundaries. There's a time and place to give tough love, but that time and place isn't on social media to complete fucking strangers that you don't know. That's just my belief. So do your best to ignore these assholes. Block them. I'm not taking my own advice on that. I've only blocked one person that has come to my feed and tried to tell me that, I'm going to relapse or I'm not doing it right. I've actually had some of these guys tell me that, well, if you're not an alcoholic, you should go out and drink again just to prove it. I'm not saying that I didn't say I'm cured of my addiction. I'm not an alcoholic anymore because I choose not to drink. And if I can choose not to drink, then I don't need to test it. If I said I was cured from addiction, maybe. But yeah, misery does love company. That guy sounds pretty fucking miserable to me. And that's a great word for it, because irritable and discontent is a word that you'll hear in AA circles quite a bit. And if that, to be quite frankly, and I'll sum it up here, this is, like I said, it's going to be a brief one. Hopefully I'll get on later with some other friends to do a live event. But if that is sobriety and recovery, if that's what it looks like, I don't want anything to do with your sobriety or your recovery. You can keep that shit and you can keep it nice and close, because I'm going to leave that shit sit on the sidewalk. No, thank you. So anyway, we got like 6 people watching. If anybody has any comments, tell me where I'm wrong. Tell you, if anybody, I can always send an invite if anybody wants to share an experience that they had. But what I've come to realize at the end of the day here is that on this social media thing, there are far more people that don't use the mainstream, the AA meetings to recover. And I'm finding more and more that there are people that put the bottle down on their own through just therapy and self-reflection. And that was almost unheard of. That wasn't possible when I first got into recovery and I got into AA. Those things weren't possible because you were told that if people could do that, then they weren't really an alcoholic. Well, you listen to their stories and they sound pretty damn similar to me. And with alcoholism being a self-diagnosed disease, if you want to call it that, and that's fine if you do, it's self-diagnosed. So nobody is telling you that you're not sure. Your family's going to tell you that. But as I've shared before, there was a guy in treatment whose parents put him into treatment, and dude wasn't even drinking like a fifth a month. And I'm sorry, but that's there's not much evidence there to support. You know what I mean? So people can call you that. But when you're looking at in terms of AA and how AA looks at it, It says you can go into the nearest bar room and you can diagnose yourself in a hurry. Try controlled drinking. If you can't do it, then you're probably an alcoholic. So you're diagnosing yourself, right? So I think if you're diagnosing yourself, then you can label yourself however you want. And I don't think it's a bad thing if you don't want to go into a meeting for the rest of your life and call yourself an alcoholic. That's negative talk. I don't think there's any use for that. I beat the shit out of myself enough every single day for other random things. I don't need to continue to label myself that way to make other people feel better or to convince other people that I'm working their program or working the program how they think it should be worked. Again, if you listen to anything other than this, then you know that I support AA. I carry my big books around with me everywhere. I quote from the big book all the time. I enjoy reading about it. I don't think it's the cure-all, but I do think it's helped a ton of people. And so I want people to be able to enjoy it. And with these people that come on and they attack other people that aren't preaching the AA gospel or regurgitating the same one-liners over and over again, what they think they're doing is they think they're going to go and, well, I don't know what they think, so I'm not going to be like them. I'm not going to pretend I know what they think. But what they're doing is they are the ones pushing people away. They're the ones that are making it rough. Because when I see comments like that, I get up and I talk about I haven't slept right in a week, and the dude wants to jump on me like I'm discouraging people from recovery. It's just stupid. And that shit gets me fired up. You know what I mean? I don't get paid to do these things. I do these things because I truly enjoy them. I truly love talking to people. I love learning. And, I've gotten enough DMs and enough emails from people that have said, wow, I really appreciate your honesty and authenticity. Please keep doing what you're doing. And that's my motivating factor. That's the income that I'm getting, is to continue to do that. So if you've listened to this, again, thank you. We've been all the way up to almost 10 people viewing, and that's pretty awesome. Might do another live later, not alone, but I had to get on. I had to talk about this. If you haven't get a chance or you can't right now, comment on anything that I've said. If you agree, disagree, find me on X, find me on Facebook. Shoot me an email at thesoberheathen@yahoo.com. Yeah, that's a good point. The more you know, the less you realize you know. So you can get to a point to think that you're at this certain point and think, yep, I got it all figured out, and you choose to stop learning, then all of a sudden you're not learning, and now you don't have, you're not growing. And I can tell you right now, if I ever say anything on here and somebody comes out and says, dude, that's completely wrong, I will do everything that I can to make sure that I make a video and say, hey, this is where I was wrong. And that's why I tried to say, I'm doing this also, to challenge myself, because I know some people don't like it when I talk negatively about AA, but they're missing the whole point. I'm not talking negatively about AA. I'm talking negatively about some of its members. I enjoyed the conversation. I use the word challenge because it can be challenging to have a debate or discussion like that sometimes. But I enjoy discussion, and that's what I'm here for, to talk about recovery, and hope that one day, something I say or one of my guests say will hit home to somebody and maybe change the course of their life. And if that doesn't happen, well, we tried, right? So thank you, Chris, Sarah, Sober Dad, Ryan. Thanks you guys for tuning in. It means a lot to me. And if you guys are bored later, there might be another live coming up with some friends, some sober friends, or as it was referred to from my guest today in a later tweet after the show, he said, the Sober Justice League. So you got the Sober Heathen, you got Sober Dad, you got the Sober Thinker, you got all kinds of sober people out there fighting the good fight against addiction. So again, love you all. Thank you much for listening, and reach out if you got any comments. Have a good night, guys.